We are live. Okay.
Look at that.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Inner Work Dispatch. Joining me today for our live conversation is Jess McIntosh, who I feel like if you follow me and you've been following me for a while, doesn't need an introduction, but I will introduce her. She's a Democratic strategist, and she is from my former co-host of Signal Boost. And in a lot of ways, the reason why I wanted to have this conversation today is because I want to signal boost what the heck we're all supposed to be doing in the year of our Lord 2026 ahead of these important midterm elections. Jess, hi. How are you?
Hi, I miss you. It's so nice
I
to
miss you
see your
so much.
face.
I miss you so very much. And like we text all the time, but we should FaceTime more, I think.
We
Like
really
now
should
it's like as soon as the only way to get it on our schedules is if it's work related.
make it alive. We should just catch up live every couple of weeks. I
Honestly,
mean,
not a
honestly, we
bad
have the same
plan.
exact conversations off air that we have on air. Like, there's very little editing that
Right.
happens.
And
So,
and I also remember that about Signal Boost itself. It was like, no, they just turned the microphones on. They didn't script anything. This is how we talk normally. This is how we are normally. And it makes for a very entertaining program because
I
we're
do
very
remember having to
opinionated.
catch people up because I would occasionally start by talking about whatever we had been texting about last night and be like, wait, everybody's actually not on the group chat with us. So I'm going to need to back up and explain why we're talking about this today. Man, everything happens so much.
No,
What was that
everything
old post?
happens.
Everything happens all the time, so much.
Everything happens so much. I think is like the overarching theme of the last 10 years, but specifically the last year. And before we get into like, what can we all do? How can we all engage? How can we all be more active? How are you holding up? Is the
You
question that I
know,
started asking after 2016.
right. Not great, to be perfectly honest. I'm doing stuff. My work feels really important. And like at the end of, I don't know, I get into these ruts where it's like nothing matters, nothing I do matters, none of
Mhm.
this stuff matters. I'm not there right now. Everything matters
Yeah.
a lot. I'm a consultant, which means that I get to work with a bunch of different organizations and candidates and whatever, and watching sort of everybody figure out what they can do, and then doing that is really inspirational. Being able to be a part of that feels good. Um, but other than that, I have good days and bad days, but they're
Yeah.
more bad days than good days.
Yeah.
And I'm a fairly even-keeled person normally. And wow, are my emotions running. Like, is it perimenopause or is it fascism? It's like a big question in
we
my
just
head.
had a we just had a conversation with Gabrielle Union just the other day on the show about perimenopause and menopause, and I was like, listen, one day in my late 30s, no, maybe it was like maybe my early 40s, I was like, I'm really hot.
Yeah,
Feel
no,
like I'm
mine is all
cooking.
I'm
Feel like
emotional. Like
feel
I'm
like I'm
crying
cooking.
too much. It's like, well, of course I'm crying too much. I've been watching videos of people's lives getting destroyed
Yeah,
all day. Of
right,
course I'm crying. Of
right.
course I'm cranky. I think there's a lot of the like how do you stay sane, right? The question that we were asking each other, which led to this conversation. I think fighting fascism and staying sane might be the 2026 version of having it all. Like,
Right.
you can't.
Right, 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 right.
There are ways to maintain as much sanity as you can. My dog is lovely and so dumb and so happy, and every time I look at him, my heart like bursts with joy. That helps. I have a marriage where I really like the person who's in my house. We really like
That
spending
helps.
time together. We do dumb shit together. We do important shit together. That really helps. Talking to friends really helps. Really turning my brain off and figuring out sort of what is the combination of things that I need to turn my brain off.
Right.
I need Love Island, UK or Australia, right? They gotta have the accents. I need that. And I need a very small fussy thing to occupy myself. I'm really into the paint by numbers
Yep.
situation
I
right
got
now.
you into that. You're
I'm
more into
so
it than I am.
we did this. We started this together. This
Yeah.
was, you know what? This is a good stay sane story. Because Darlena's question to me at the end of the year before last, right? It was like 23, was because both of us are kind of perfectionists and, we're competitive and we don't like to be bad at stuff. So your question to me was, what do Like, what would you do if you weren't afraid of sucking at it? Like, what do
Yeah.
you think looks fun?
Yeah.
And my first answer, which I've never thought about before, was like painting. Like, I'm a terrible artist. I have no visual. It's not there. It's not one of my gifts. But I love the idea of like setting up an easel and like painting a pretty thing. And so we bought each other paint by numbers with the express purpose of sucking at it. And of course, I got really good at it.
Yeah, no, now you're really good at it. Every time you send me a new one, I'm like, "You got way good at doing this."
But
I
it's
mean,
kind of
I did,
hilarious
like,
to be good at
maybe
something so
3.
stupid.
No, but it's like, to each their own, right? Some people do paint by numbers, some people are knitting, some people are cooking, some people are
Yep.
exercising. Like, people are finding ways to occupy their time and their mental space so that they can stay sane. And for me, I feel like one of the things I've learned in living abroad and in a country and an environment where people separate work from life and work from family is that I have a very firm boundary now. Like, I don't check work emails when it's not time to check them.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
check the news when I don't have to. And it's okay because I don't work in breaking news. I work on a morning show, so I can like schedule when I'm going to catch up on everything. But then also it's because I need that boundary to stay literally sane. Like, and part of it is being influenced by the people I'm around. When it's time to stop working, they stop. Like, there's no like extra overtime. Let me answer this email while I'm out to dinner with my family. Like, there's none of that. They don't really do that. Culturally, that is like not a thing you see
Right.
happening often. And so I'm influenced by that. I think that's healthy. I think I do a better job because I'm able to like check out
Oh, for
when I'm
sure.
not working. Like,
Yeah, I
clock
mean,
out.
like in America, we're all like it's a competition. How hard can you work?
Yeah.
And when you work in something that is like, I hate to use a big word about something like political consulting, but when you work in something that is a little bit of a vocation,
Right.
like it just you never stop. It's like being a teacher or a doctor or like if you really care about what you do and you think that it makes the world better, well then you're always going to answer the email. You're always
Right.
going to say yes to the Sunday thing. You're always going to work the on nights. Like and I do that
Uh,
and I just have to be very cognizant that sometimes I need this thing to keep me through it, and
yeah.
sometimes I need that thing to keep me through it,
Right.
and those
Right.
change. Like sometimes I
Right.
need to work all the time because that's the only way that I feel like I'm doing something about all of this. And sometimes I need to have both my paint by numbers and my Love Island UK so that the brain shuts off entirely.
Yeah.
And I need that. I need exercise. I started weightlifting. I picked up a
No, yeah.
barbell yesterday for the
Just because
first
we're over
time.
40, Jess. I mean, I've been doing this a minute, but
Yeah,
yeah, no, I lift heavy.
like
Heavy
heavy.
weights. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. Like
Over 40, heavy weights. Lots of
yeah,
protein. Protein in every meal. I'm like,
I mean,
I
and
didn't even
then
know there were this many uses of cottage cheese and Greek yogurt. I didn't,
Greek
but I've
yogurt.
apparently
Man, my life
discovered
is
them.
so much Greek yogurt.
Yeah,
But
it's a lot
picking
of
up a
Greek.
barbell, like I can pick up a 45-pound barbell and add some weights to it and then pick it up again. That's wild. That's not like the twiggy little 30 something I used to be. That's a whole ass woman. So
Yeah.
that feels good. Like honestly. I'm not gonna have an eating disorder and fascism at the same time. Like I'm just not
Wow.
gonna do that. So I'm getting bigger on purpose, and I'm gaining weight, and I'm eating way more food than I ever have, and I feel kind of great. Not always, my brain will backslide, but like overall, this is a pretty healthy development for me. Um, and I really like being able to pick stuff up. Like it's neat to be strong. It's
Oh,
very
yeah,
cool.
no, being strong is absolutely amazing and also, like, necessary, especially because in my life, I am a single girl, so I have to carry cases of water up the steps, or, like, even when I moved into this apartment, I had obviously giant suitcases, and I did not have help in carrying the suitcases up the steps, and so I basically said to myself, "Well, we're moving, like, we're doing
Yeah.
like, it's gonna happen, and if I fall back down to the bottom and that this is the end of my story, then I did my best, you know what I mean? Like, this I was like, "Well, I'm either supposed to live in Palermo and thrive and live out my life, or I'm gonna fall back down to the bottom of
I'm
the
just gonna
steps
die here at the
because"
bottom of
yeah,
the
yeah, I'm gonna die at the bottom of the steps because I didn't have any help. Um,
Which would also be
so
an important metaphor. Yeah, I'm just happy I can pick up my end of the couch now, and I think Chris probably is too. Like I'm not useless anymore when moving something heavy. Like I can help. It's neat. So yeah, just like all of the little things that you need. Sometimes I need low key. Sometimes I need high key. Sometimes I
Yeah,
need solitude. Sometimes I
right.
need to be filled with people who bring me joy. I always need art and nature. If you get the
Yeah,
chance for art or nature, those are the like there's go read other people who have lived through fascist times.
yeah,
And by the way, the majority of them do turn around within a decade. Like the majority of countries that slip into fascism do not stay there forever. There is about a 10-year turnaround. And I believe that we can be a part of that, especially given how truly pissed off everybody is right now. And I'm
yeah.
even talking about the Trump voters. Like, I have seen numbers they regret, like, a huge chunk of them. Like, if 35% of them are saying this out loud, which is, like, the craziest thing to get any human being to admit, then 65% of them are feeling it. Like,
Yeah,
they regret it. Nothing is going well. Everything is stupid and
right.
scary,
Yeah,
and the prices are insane. I just got a
right.
$600 heating bill for my one-bedroom apartment, and that's normal. Everyone is doing that. So, like, nothing's working, right?
Did you just say
Fascism is
you paid $600 for
$600 for my one-bedroom apartment.
for
Yes.
heat?
Yeah, utility costs are an enormous thing in this country
I
right
know
now.
this in theory, like,
Yes,
obviously, anecdotally and through reporting and interviews I've done on the show, I know this, but
I
it is
know.
really different when
Yeah,
you, my friend, say, "I just paid $600 for utilities,"
yeah,
and I'm like, "I think I just paid 35
yeah,
euros for 2
yeah.
months," I think it was.
Yeah,
Not
no, it's
not
it's
1.
it's yeah, all of my copays are up, like, it's the cost of the cost of living, and, like, being a relatively privileged person, like, I have I've had a career, like, I had a job right out of college, and I never looked
Kinda
back,
important.
right? So
Yeah.
I've always had, a decent I don't come from any money, but I've always had a decent income, and I'm very used to, in this line of work, talking about things that don't affect me personally because I'm not
Mhm.
on Medicaid
Right.
or, I'm one of the lucky half of the country that can weather a $400 emergency. That means half of America can't weather a $400 emergency. Just putting that out there. So I'm very used to like this awful thing is happening, not to me, but I'm watching it and I want to fix it. And now it's like, oh no, it's reached my level. And if it's reached my
Yeah.
level, everybody below me is drowning.
Right.
So, like, if the water is in my house,
Right.
like, what are we doing with the people who have faced unemployment, who did not have, um, an industry that didn't collapse? Lots of industries have collapsed in this
That's right.
country. Like all of my journalist friends, like going from winning Pulitzers to like not being able to afford their apartments. I'm sitting here in Hudson because I can't afford to live in my hometown of New York City.
Hmm.
Like it's here. It's everyone. And so there's really nobody who can be like, yeah, my life is better now than it used to be thanks to Trump, except
That's
for
fair.
his like billionaire buddies and everybody in the Epstein files. And it's really clear. It's really clear to people, I think, in a way that it wasn't before. So I'm gonna put us in the decade turnaround track, which is still a decade of fascism and a lot of
No,
really
it's still
fucking
a d it's
kidnapping. But
oh my gosh. Okay, I just had to wrap my brain around, like, another 10 years of this madness,
yeah,
but I also think about, to your point about the cost of living impacting people higher up on the income spectrum, because one of the things that people ask me a lot since I moved abroad is, like, "How could you afford that?" Or, like, "I could never afford that." And I am always quick to,
they
like,
just don't know.
respond, they you don't yes, no kids, okay?
Sure,
No
yeah, that's
kids,
a huge one.
okay? So, like, there are a lot of different barriers that were not in my way. I could decide, I'm just gonna go.
Cost wasn't one of
But the cost was not actually a factor. The cost was one of the incentives.
yeah,
The cost of living here was one of the reasons I did it. And I mean, obviously, there were a lot of other reasons too, but when I go to the grocery store and I try my best, which I've done this multiple times, and it sounds ridiculous to say, but, like, I literally tried my best to spend 100 euros for, like,
yeah,
2 weeks of groceries, like, lots of stuff I'm freezing, like, fresh produce, no pesticides and hormones in any of the meat and things of that nature, like apples, I like them, apparently. Um, can't get to 100 euros. Like,
yeah,
the only time I can get to 100 euros if I shop for 2 weeks at the most expensive grocery store and also get it delivered, and then maybe it's, like, 107. But,
no,
like, it
our
it just
our
and I know what
standard
the cost is.
grocery bill
I
right
know what the
now.
cost is in America because I was paying that in Virginia right before I came here.
No, our standard grocery bill now, and I'm talking like the very basics, like the eggs, the milk, the peanut butter, the staples that you always get is basically $100 at this
Yeah.
point. Like, I think it's a little under that. But like that doesn't include meat, That doesn't
Right.
include any produce, just the basic staples that you're going to keep in your kitchen. So like we had to readjust all of our budgets, we can't do this because you go to a restaurant and you're not getting out for less than $150. So that becomes a really special occasion thing. Like even if you're going for like burgers on the corner, that becomes a special occasion thing, and that's a different way to live. And if I'm making those decisions, then the people with kids, oh my God, like
No,
you
I
can't do
sometimes try to
anything but pay for
imagine it.
childcare if you're
Yeah.
lucky enough to be able to do that.
If you have access and can afford it. Like,
Mhm.
if you even have access to it, and then the money to pay. It's
Yep.
it's it's a crazy thing. Okay, I wanna shift gears because 'cause we're about halfway through the conversation, and I wanna talk about burnout, because
Yeah.
basically we started this conversation talking about if we're sane, questionable, how we're staying sane, how we're doing, how we're holding up. But then I also, and you alluded to this, feel like we do still need to strike a balance, and I think the 10-year time period actually helped us put that in context. We're gonna have to make sure that we can make it through this marathon.
Yeah.
So how do we engage, stay informed, but then not go crazy and burn out?
Okay. I think this is the question, right? So there are two things I want to tell people to focus on. And both of them are going to sound deceptively easy, but they really
Mhm.
are the solution. One is talking to your friends, right? When everybody thinks about talking about politics, they think about like arguing with a QAnon supporter or like a
Right.
Facebook comment section come to life. That is not what I'm telling you to do.
Mhm.
I'm telling you to talk to the people you already know and like. Um, a fantastic amount of people do not vote. People who you are positive are going
Right.
to vote will not vote. Um, it can, and more than that, they might not realize what races are happening in their neighborhoods. They might
Right.
not realize what the voting process is. It changes from place to place. Like talking to your friends um, is the thing that matters. And if you encounter somebody who doesn't agree with you, right? Let's say you really like somebody at your kid's school, and when you open up this conversation, hey, what do you think about the book bans at the community next door? Maybe they're in favor of it.
Mhm.
You can at this point choose either to protect your peace and shut that conversation down because you've got more stuff to do, or you can decide that
Right.
you're going to be a space for them to have that conversation. Ask them
Right.
1,000 questions. Don't give them your opinion. That's not going to change anything. Ask them 1,000 questions. Help guide them to their own values for what they believe. Maybe those values are abhorrent and you decide you no longer like this parent at drop off. That can happen. But maybe you turn in, this is likely not to be a parent drop off. It's likely to be like an aunt or a cousin or
Mhm.
somebody who like you
Mhm.
care about. Maybe you turn into the person that they can bring questions and concerns to. This is the long game. This happens over the course of years, not days, not one conversation, not four. But for the most part, friend to friend organizing is the most effective thing you can
Right.
do in politics. It is not television ads. It's not mailers. It's not knocking on strangers'
Say that
doors.
again about
It's
television
not
ads, please.
television ads. That is not how we win. In
I literally am
2024,
obsessed with this point.
we spent the maximum amount you can spend on television ads, and we did not win.
'Cause nobody watched it.
Nobody watched it. It was, I mean,
Nobody's watching
honestly,
TV
that
ads unless
William
they're watching
ad was
sports, in which case they're getting snacks during the commercials.
completely. Everybody's figured out how not to watch commercials, and digital ads are the same. What you need is somebody who you care about talking about things.
That's right.
And that's why the friend to friend organizing matters. So you got to do the brave thing and sort of open up the conversation with the people who are in your lives. Say, hey, what do you think about what's going on in
Mm.
Minneapolis?
Right.
Or looking at what's happening in Minneapolis, how do you think we should handle it here? Which brings me to my second point, which is get super local. Don't talk to people about Donald Trump. Truly,
Yeah.
at this point, like you say his name and and that's not because they don't care. That's because
Right.
we just freaking can't handle the man anymore. Like
Right, we
how
have
you
too much going on. People have too much going on, and I also think, to your point about bringing it up in conversation with people that you interact with every day, is, and this is hard for some people, don't judge, right?
yeah
Like, you're asking them about the issue, and they could be like, "Oh, yeah," they could spew Fox News talking points, like, whatever it is. and you're like, "Oh my god, that's crazy, Diane." But don't necessarily tell Diane she's crazy. Don't
Right.
overreact. Like, use it as practice to not have this like dramatic reaction, because really what you're trying to do is open up the space to have the conversation. And then as additional things happen in the news cycle, which eventually Diane is going to be like, "Whoa, like you can't just shoot people in the face and that's fine," right? When
Y
they're not armed and not doing anything and not a threat to anyone, or maybe just full stop, you shouldn't be doing that if you are the government, no matter the context. Then Diane might come around to see the issue from a different perspective. But if you judge her, if you yell at Diane, she's not gonna be. I don't know why I'm using that word or that name.
'Cause
Just
Diane
made
seems
that.
like the
Just
type, I don't know.
I just made that up. Karen, whatever.
Right.
So you don't
Barbara.
want to make her shut down
Right.
and unable to engage. You want to just open up the space. And then I think you'll get practice doing this, because there'll be plenty of opportunities for people to bring these things up as the news gets more crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I try to I mean, if you really need to set ground rules, "Hey, you and I both believe that everybody deserves to be treated with respect." Whenever I run into somebody who, like, wants to debate me, which happens every now and then, I try not to say what I do, but sometimes when I do, the cab driver
Same,
or
same,
the
same.
friend's parent, whatever, will be like, "Oh, neat. Well, what do you think about the Obama phones?" And I'm like, "Cool. This is how I wanted to spend my 40 minutes in your captive car." I will say, just some ground rules. You and I both believe that everybody deserves to be treated with
Yeah,
respect, right?
right,
And I get a yes 100% of the time.
right.
So at that point, everything has to meet that bar. And we're just talking about how to treat people with respect, not do this or do that. And so when something comes up that I can't just like breeze through because you're talking about bullying trans kids or whatever,
Right, right, right,
I
right.
can go back to my, well, my core belief is that everybody deserves to be treated with respect, and I don't think I need to understand an issue to not want to bully kids over it, and that's me. But tell me more about how you got where you got. But for the most part, like literally, I want this to be you are not debating people. If you spend most of your time debating people, you are focusing on the wrong things. They
You're
are not
wasting
the
your
most
time.
effective. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You
Yeah,
could
yeah, yeah.
be being more effective. Like a third of the country sits this out. You know
I
them.
Yeah. No,
Talk to
I agree with this point 100%, and I wanna reiterate, debating people in person, on Facebook, on Instagram, on X, on Threads, whatever, TikTok comments, like, don't spend your time in the year of our Lord 2026 debating people on the internet
yeah,
when you could be registering voters in real life
yeah. Yeah,
or
you
on
could
the
be
internet.
yeah,
But
you can be reminding people where and how to vote. You can be working as a poll worker. You can be talking to them about local elections because while
right,
Donald Trump turns everybody off, school board races turn everybody on. So what's going on in your judicial races? And
right.
never like
No,
underestimate how
I
little the
know.
average American knows about
Knows, yeah,
civics. We're
they
not
probably
taught.
don't know that most judges in or not most, but many judges are elected, and some of these very important Supreme Court races
Yes.
or even local court races are extremely important, and there is an election which you can impact if you participate and engage and then tell everybody else to participate because they probably didn't even know what was happening. Because usually those elections don't happen in November.
Right, exactly. So engaging in politics, people usually think of as having an argument over Trump. And I just want to completely throw that out the
Yeah,
window. Engaging in politics is talking to your neighbors and friends about what matters to your community. And if you find yourself doing something else, back away. You're not helping. You're not helping yourself, you're not helping your own mental health, and you're not doing anything effective. Creating space for your aunt or uncle to come around eventually, that's sort of a different bucket. But spend your time talking to the people you care about the community that you share. And that is how we are doing politics today. And the ICE atrocities in Minneapolis actually give us a really good window into how to do this. I urge you to read and watch everything you can about how Minnesotans are fighting back because
yeah,
like I lived there for 4 years. My
yeah,
god, do I love these people. Like, they are just the most, like, work ethic focused hard asses, and, like, it's -20 out there, and they have signal groups built to, like, monitor ice to one block and then
yeah,
pass it off to the next group, and, like,
right.
it is hyper local. And if you think about it, right, you want to engage in politics, especially as a white person, because you're worried about stuff happening to your neighbors. So think about the immigrant family that's on your street that you're
Mhm.
thinking about, right?
Yeah,
Would they feel better and more protected by you if you called your congressmen and senators and told them how much you hate ICE? Or if you went to your local elementary school or your daycare and you said, hey, what's the plan for a raid? Can we make sure that we have one? Like, which one does more
That's
to
right.
protect the family that you care
That's right.
about and is more effective in general? So like, stop engaging with federal politics. You're going to vote. You're going to vote. Like, as long as that's on the table, like, call your senators if you want to call your senators. But the most important thing you can do is to figure out how to engage people on the hyper local level, like school board, county commissioner, judicial races, what's happening with ICE in your neighborhood. Because, that's what everybody, like, it's coming. If it's not there yet, it's on its way. Everybody has seen it. Like, there are protests in Hudson already,
Right.
which is a relatively small place in upstate New York. It's not just the major cities.
Right.
So that's my advice. Think about the people you love. Think about the place that you care about. Do not think about Washington, D.C. Do not think about debating.
I think that that's such a good advice because we have so many people, probably the ones who are tuning in, but also that call into the radio show on Sirius XM every morning, asking me what they can do, asking me how they can help. And I think, giving people really tangible advice, like don't spend time debating on the internet, go outside in your neighborhood and figure out what your community is doing to protect the most vulnerable that are being directly impacted by the policies right now. Because the elections, again, they're this year, and everybody, yes, you can register voters and engage in that way as well. Hopefully, in best case scenario, in addition to the community protection work you're doing.
Right.
But also, the elections are kind of a ways away. So
Yeah.
it's like, what can you do today? And I think Jess is
Honestly,
giving some good suggestions.
creating space for community
Oh, yeah.
is one of the biggest acts of resistance you can do. Like,
Right.
if you participate or create a place for neighbors to meet each other, you have fought fascism way more effectively than somebody who knocked on 1,000 doors of strangers and, had 4 of them open. Like, if you, Amanda Littman, who I know you have on your show,
Yep.
is like, both of us are huge fans of what she's done. She runs Run for Something, which helps young people run for office. She has a great Substack. And she talked a lot about these dinners. It was her husband's idea last year to do, like, they were going to host a dinner every Saturday night, like hugely ambitious goal, right?
Mhm.
Have friends over to the house every Saturday night for a year.
Wow.
And they did. And she wrote a lot about it and how hard it was and what it meant. But the thing that really stuck with me was that this is a woman who runs a political organization
Right.
that gets progressive candidates to run. And she said Saturday night dinners was the most important political thing she did all year. And that, like, if you hold a party,
Like a Sunday brunch.
if
Why
you
are we
hold
not Sunday brunching?
yeah, if you have a party in your house and you invite people, you have fought fascism for real. Like, it depends on us being afraid of each other and not liking each other and being generally distrustful. And whenever we do something that explodes that and says, no, we actually give a crap about our neighbors and we like them and we invite them into our home and we trust them, fascism can't take hold there. Like, that's what happened. Like, Minneapolis was sort of like, they already went through this. Like, they
Right.
already organized. Like, they were cohesive in a way
Right.
that I think not every neighborhood or community or city is. And we got to see, like, how important that ultimately was. They're also a
Mhm.
place where, like, the weather is so harsh that they are used to showing up for each other
Right.
in adverse conditions. Like, when your neighbor's heat is out, they're coming over or they're going to die. So, and the same thing about your own
Yeah.
house. So that just sort of fosters when you hear people be like, I don't ask who they vote for before I tow them. Like, yes, exactly. That's not, I don't want to talk about politics. I care about my community. And if we treat our communities like the fronts against fascism that it is, it's not DC, it's your town.
Right.
Then you actually have something to do. Plan a party. Go
Isn't there
volunteer at the library.
And isn't there also a piece of this where, you're talking about Minnesota, right? And I think that some people who watched the results of the 2024 election thought that, Minnesota's not necessarily like one of the swingiest of swing states,
Yeah,
right?
it's pretty blue.
It's a blue state. But I do still think that even in places where they did support Donald Trump, they are shocked by seeing in person the impact of their vote and
Yeah.
the Trump administration's immigration policy. So it's one thing to say like, "Oh yeah, get the people who are criminals out,"
Yeah.
versus they're taking away a child from elementary school and they're dragging his mother over
Yeah,
there.
no one's
Like
seeing
it's
criminals.
yeah, it becomes a really different thing when in practice, in real life, you're seeing the brutality. And then I
Yeah.
think also this similarly to when everybody watched the video of the murder of George Floyd, I think it's gonna radicalize I think the killing of Renee Good is going to radicalize people who were even more disengaged than some of the people that we're mentioning today
Yeah.
because they didn't realize how bad ICE behaved. Like, maybe they saw some videos, that were emotional, but I think violence plus emotion, I think that has a different effect.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, whenever this is not like the usual conversation that we have around law enforcement,
Right.
where I think a lot of progressives, whatever, a lot of people of all stripes feel the need to be like, look, law enforcement does a lot of good. When bad things happen, we need to deal with it, and they shouldn't have overblown budgets. And we're not talking about that. Nobody says, look, ICE does a lot of good. It doesn't. And we all see that. Like I don't know, the decoupling of ICE from
Decoupling.
immigration
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
is is pretty complete. Like, they're just terrorizing people. They knock
Yeah.
down the wrong doors all the time. The woman they shot was a white mother who was not who was a US citizen. They terrorize communities, and that's it. That's all they're doing. That we don't have anybody standing up and being like, "Well, ICE really helped by getting the murderer off of my block." Like, they're we don't have you gotta believe if they had those stories, they would be
They would tell
telling them
them.
every
That's right.
goddamn day. This is like what we said, that first plane that went that with Venezuelans that went to CCOT. You and I think we're on air talking about it. We're like, I know about the hairdresser. Like, I
Right,
know about, I know about the teacher.
right.
If there were a mass murderer on that plane, I'm pretty sure we would
They
know
would've
about
told us.
them.
Kristi Noem would have stood up in front of a big blown up picture of that
Totally.
person.
Totally. So, like, we don't have the success stories of ICE. And that's very different from the rest of law enforcement. Like, most
Yeah.
Americans are like, well, no, I think we probably do need some kind of police force, right? They shouldn't be, like, brutalizing people, but, like,
No, it's on the news every night.
you know,
Police have
we
arrested blah, blah,
we
blah.
we
Here's a
need
press
something.
conference of them standing in front of the drugs or whatever. Like,
You do
we
not
we all
have
know what this is supposed to look like.
you do not have Americans standing there being like, well, we need some kind of ICE, obviously. Like, that's just not like, I don't think we're gonna have like and the politicians who are willing to stand up and say we need to stop ICE. This is not an agency that should exist.
Mm.
This is not an agency that is committed to what it says it's committed to. All it does is terrorize us. Like Zoran Mondani,
Yeah,
like AOC. Like, there are a lot of people who are standing up and saying that, and guess what? Their messages test better
yeah.
than Cory Booker being like, we need to reform it and take away some of its funding. It's like, no, we just need people to stand up and say, no, we need to stop this. We need to stop ICE. Like, let's
I
lose, abolish, lose, defund, all of it. We got to
Yeah, yeah.
stop this shit. Like,
I interviewed someone this morning, a reporter who, Laura Jadid, who wrote the piece in Slate where basically she applied
that was
to
incredible.
be an ICE, and they interviewed her for 6 minutes, and then gave her a temporary job offer. Then
Even
she
though
didn't
she
sh
hadn't completed their necessary
Right, she didn't
requirement
compete
background check.
she did not complete the background check, she did not complete any of the other information. They sent her a drug test. She literally basically got hired without any vetting,
And
which
she was pretty sure she failed the drug test
yes, she said she had smoked marijuana, which is legal in New York
legally.
City, like 6 days earlier or something before the
Right.
test. And then also, it's just so funny to me because she's like, "I'm easily Googleable." Like,
Right.
I'm like, "I do more vetting before a Tinder date." Like, this is really crazy that they're hiring people and then are going to give them a gun without any vetting whatsoever, which just allows us to understand that this is not like any other agency that we have in law enforcement. And also, I've been thinking a lot about this in the last week. The only reason why we're sort of not allowing, but the only reason why it was able to get this far is because of who they're harming, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
and
who they
because
said they
it's
were
tied
going
to
to
an
harm.
issue like immigration.
Right. They promised that they were only going to harm brown people
Right.
and on only the bad ones. And
That's right.
so
And
people
so
were
people
okay with that.
a lot of people are okay with that. It's similar to Black Lives Matter
Mhm.
and the fact that the worst impacted are communities of color, Black people specifically. And I think it took the George Floyd video to get people who are not directly impacted to be like, holy shit, this is really crazy. This is happening all the time. Yes.
Yes.
And so maybe the video of Renee Good will cause that reaction as well, but we're gonna see. And so in the last 10 minutes, I wanna give people marching orders because we sort of build this as a stay sane. We've talked about how we stay sane through hobbies and boundaries with work
Mhm.
and life. But I also wanna give marching orders at the end of this conversation. So we've suggested a few different things, but tick through some of the organizations that people can look into, sign up for their email lists and calendar events so that they can get engaged this year.
Okay, so the 2 that I wanna point you to, it sort of occupy, like, both spheres of progressive pushback in my mind. One is Indivisible.
Mm,
They are the protest people.
mhm, mhm.
They do more on the federal side than I think, like, that's not where I want to put the focus, but they do
Yep.
really good work and they organize all over the country. So there is an Indivisible chapter in your neighborhood. The other organization, and this is one of the clients of mine, but literally they're like who I go to when I need a boost, when I need to stay sane, is called Red Wine and Blue, and it
Yeah.
is the organization, the gang of wine moms, the gang of feral wine moms, or whatever the hell they're calling them now. Like, this is them. They actually do exist. Like, Chardonnay Antifa is real. You can just go go right to redwine.blue and sign up, and they organize the suburbs, and the suburbs have a really loose definition, so it's, anything outside of a city, basically, that isn't, like, super, super rural, and even then, they're probably there. So they have chapters all over the country as well, and they are the absolute best gold standard for friend-to-friend organizing. They will teach you how to have these conversations, what to talk about, how to learn what's going on, like, deep in your community. They will hook you up with like-minded people because a lot of times people think they're the only ones there. So I would go to both of those organizations and just see what's happening in your neck of the woods. Like that is key. Like those are the marching orders, to look extremely local and to look at your own networks, because those are the people that you can influence. You're not going to change the mind of an internet stranger, but you absolutely might get somebody who you kind of know out to vote who wouldn't have
That's
otherwise,
true.
and that really matters. Like, that will happen if you talk to everybody that you know and care about. Everybody knows that, like, a friend recommending something is the thing that makes you do it, right? So
There's
be
a
that
whole
be that friend.
influencer marketing, like, the whole industry is built around you
Yeah,
gaining trust in someone that you may not know that is promoting a thing, and because you trust the person, you buy the thing,
yeah.
or at least interested in buying the thing. So let's apply that to civic engagement.
To your own life. Doesn't have
Yes.
to be online. You
No.
are an influencer of the people who, every single group chat that you
That's
have
right.
is an opportunity to influence people about what's happening in your community, to start the conversation. So those, and I think the third thing that I would tell people to do is, like, give yourself permission to go a little nuts.
Yeah.
Like, how do I stay sane during fascism?
Why is that the question? No, that I mean, I know that I'm asking,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
or that I'm part of the
like,
problem.
that's the question. Like, that is the question
Yeah.
everyone's you can't.
No.
Just
And
give yourself
also
permission to fall apart a little bit.
I have a little space. I have the ability
Yeah.
to have a level of clarity because I have distance that when I talk to my sister and my family, they don't have the same, like, they have clarity, but they don't have the same level of, like, calm at any
Right.
point because I know that, like, I'm physically removed, and I did that on purpose and somehow was quite prescient, um,
Yeah.
in that regard in terms of the timing of it. But then I also think about the fact that, like, there are a lot of people out there who they're not even paying as much of as attention as my family is.
Yeah.
And so they're gonna find out later, and then they're gonna have a full meltdown because they're gonna be like, "Oh my god, like, we're not a democracy anymore." Like, no, we're not. If you were not sure about that, we're not. All the experts that I speak to about authoritarianism say we're in what is now coined competitive authoritarianism. So, that's when there are elections, but they don't necessarily matter. And
Yeah.
I think the 2026 midterms and all the elections leading up to that are a test for the system.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, there's a lot of concern about, like,
Mm,
he floated that thing about, like, maybe we shouldn't have the midterms. Like,
yeah,
I really want everybody to stop chasing conspiracies so that they see the conspiracy in plain sight. They
right.
are fucking with the midterms. They are not going to they're not going to cancel them. They are not going to insert code into the voting machines to change votes. That is not happening. What is happening is that they're gerrymandering in the middle of the decade when that's not allowed, just to choose. They're not going to screw with the vote. They're going to screw with the electorate. And that has the exact same outcome. They are still stealing an election, but they're not doing it in the ways that we're looking for them to do it, because we're looking for them to be hiding, and they're not. They're just
Right?
making it harder
There's
for
no
Black people
break-in
to
in
vote.
the Watergate. They're just walking through the front door of the Watergate and being like, "We're gonna go rob your stuff."
Yeah.
Like, they're just telling us what they're gonna do. But the reason why it's good is that they're doing it ahead of time. They're doing it in plain sight. We don't
Mhm.
have to argue. You don't have to argue with people about whether or not they're trying to mess with the midterm elections. And then also, you don't have to look at it and be like, "Oh my god, they're messing with the midterm elections. That means that I disengage." It's the
Right.
reason to engage more
Yes,
every day.
because they're not screwing with the votes, they're screwing with the voters. And you, as a voter, still have the opportunity to weigh in there. Once they're screwing with the votes, there's really nothing you can do. You vote for one guy and the machine changes it to another. But that's not happening. What they're doing is making it much harder for you to vote. They're scaring you away from voting. There will be ice at the polls. We need to be there to make sure that our neighbors can vote safely. At this point, we still have something that we can do because they are screwing with us. The gerrymandering wars like that. I mean, I've never been like, thank God for Gavin Newsom before in my life. But like a Democrat stood up with a little bit of spine and they backed down. Like that would have
Yeah.
been catastrophic. But because they were doing it in plain sight, it didn't rise to a level where everybody felt like, we caught him.
That's the thing about the last 10 years that drives me absolutely crazy. It's like they're just doing the conspiracies, this is my opinion. They're just doing the conspiracies out in the open. There's nothing for I mean, I know I rag on the mainstream press a lot, but, like, the mainstream press is doing not so great. But also they don't have to investigate much because it's
No.
all they're just admitting it in out
Well,
loud.
this is why I really do want a focus group of all of the guys that, like, bought it in 2020 and 2024 who are like, "Yeah, the immigrants are the problem and, the women are the problem," and all of that. Like, I really do just wanna sit them down and be like, "Hey, you guys are right. Somebody is keeping you from getting rich. Somebody is taking the things that should be rightfully yours. Someone is standing in your way. They are lying to you. It's just the guys who are doing it in plain sight. It's just the corporations. It's just your boss. It's just capitalism. Like, it's just our elected leaders. Stop looking under rocks for like the
Right.
secret cabal. It's right freaking there. You are correct. There is a conspiracy keeping you down. Like, take the win?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's Ro Khanna who calls it the Epstein class
Yeah.
for a reason, because I think the Epstein controversy and the fact that people on the right and the left both are very concerned about the transparency and accountability. It's because that class of people who are able to abuse their power are abusing it in myriad ways, not just in that one specific context. They're abusing it in myriad ways and able to get away with it because of who they're connected to in terms of the people in power. And I think we understand that. That is corruption. But I think people understand it because it's happening so obviously out in the open. They were legally mandated to release the Epstein files. They released like less than 1% and
1%.
heavily redacted documents that you could unredact using your laptop. So, it's going really well. Um, and we are now right at 444, which I feel like is good luck because both of us are 44 and 44 is a good luck number.
I'll
Um,
take it.
but to close out this conversation, I just want to like review basically what we are all doing, Jess and I, and all of you, I hope, to stay sane is you are doing stuff that sparks joy. You're doing stuff that can shut off your brain. You're being really, really intentional about when and how you're consuming the news. And then you're choosing other stuff at other times. You're not just like constantly scrolling, no doom scrolling here. I think that's goes in line with everything I'm talking about here on the Inner Work Dispatch. But then also you're going to get engaged. And as Jess was
Locally.
clearly explaining, it's all about the local engagement and figuring out how you can plug yourself in to something happening in your local community. Or I love the Amanda Littman example of just hosting
Create a space.
your friends and neighbors and
Yeah.
then talking about some of this stuff. And then again, if you get a dinner party of 12 people, for all intents and purposes, that's an organizing opportunity.
Yep.
Like
You don't even have to talk about politics. If you create a space in your home where people from your community come over and meet each other, you've done it.
you've
You have
done
fought
something.
fascism.
You've done something.
Congratulations. You
Yep.
might you maybe no single word was said about any election, but people walked away recognizing each other, knowing a little bit about each other, liking each other a little bit more. There you go. Fascism can't survive in those conditions. So do everything you can to create those conditions. Spend a little more time talking to the people who you buy stuff from in your neighborhood. Spend a little more time talking to the
Yeah.
guy who passes you walking his dog every day. Like, just
Right.
spend a little more time being a Mr. Rogers,
That's real.
and that's how we fight it. That's the most effective way you can fight it. It feels very woo woo. It feels very like, oh, I'm doing soft power or whatever, but like, it's true. And if we didn't live in a hyper masculine society, we
No,
would probably know that making
soft
friends is
power
really
is
freaking powerful.
power. Soft power is power.
Yes.
And as Professor Lucan Way told us on the show multiple times, it is never too late to fight fascism. And that's a line that stays in my brain because, as things get worse progressively, um, it's important to understand that it's never too late to engage. So if you haven't done it up until January 21st, 2026, it's never too late. We're gonna tomorrow, today, later
Yeah.
this afternoon, like
You're
figure out
gonna
what you're
you're
gonna
gonna
do.
spend 2 minutes longer than you would have otherwise talking to somebody, and you're gonna be like, "Oh, hey, I started." Like,
Yeah.
seriously, go volunteer at your local library. You've started. Like, everybody thinks about it as like shouting down a Trump supporter. That's not it.
No, and it's not all marches
So
and
much
protests.
easier than that.
It's not all marches and protests. There's a time and place for marches and protests. But in Minneapolis, for example, because obviously the situation is fluid and happening right now. But if where you are, it's relatively calm and nothing's really happening, that doesn't mean you don't have to be organizing and engaging or having the dinner party or opening up the space for these conversations. It's still important to do that. And I think I don't know. I feel like sometimes people think it's like you have to go be I have a dream speech or something as opposed to, a lot of people were just working in community. I mean, even with the Montgomery bus boycott, for example,
Yes.
that wasn't like Rosa Parks sat down and then they made it happen. It was like a year and then like
They
a
planned
lot
it.
of individual people
Right.
who printed out flyers and organized, carpools and, there are things that you can be doing all along the way. It's not just one march. So don't wait for that to happen.
Yes.
Start local.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly. Marches are an organizing opportunity, and that's the biggest thing. They also
Yeah.
keep us going. So if you need that, go get in the middle of a crowd. Like,
Yes, but that shouldn't be the only thing you're doing.
but
So like
that
the
shouldn't be the
march is
only
like
thing
the
that you're doing.
culmination of all your local organizing. So I feel like
Exactly.
that's like a
Exactly.
really, really good place to end the conversation today. Jess McIntosh, thank you for being with us this morning on the Inner Work Dispatch to talk about like a Signal Boost reunion to
Yeah.
talk about how to stay sane and how to engage to fight fascism in
Let's
America.
let's let's do this
Super,
more
super,
regularly.
super, super light topic,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I
super
mean, you
light.
you you made me put a photo in my Substack profile. Like, let's just do this. I can
Okay.
I can do this.
Yeah, I know. It's easy and fun. And like I feel like also because it's just like on your computer, this is if we were FaceTiming anyway. It's just other
Totally.
people are watching.
Totally. Hi, everybody else watching.
So thank you guys. And next time I do one with Jess or anyone else, you can feel free. I should have said this right at the top of the conversation. Put questions in the comments if you have any. But nobody had any questions. They're just saying thank you and so glad to see us back together again,
I'm glad too.
which I agree.
It's
I
always so
agree with
nice
that
to see you.
assessment.
I love you. I wish I could hug you.
I love you and I wish I could hug you too. Come visit very soon.
Okay, I
Tell
will.
Bud, well, give Bud huge
Mhm.
hug
I
because
will.
Bud
I,
is my bestie.
yeah, my dog loves you so much.
I love him so much. I love him so much. He makes me
Yeah.
so happy.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's my phone wallpaper
I
just because
mean,
he's just so cute.
it's his face.
Yeah,
It's just perfect. He's a perfect face.
it's perfect. Have a wonderful day. Stay
You too.
warm.
You too. Enjoy your pasta.
Thank you.
Enjoy
Well,
your
that's not
life.
all I live
Enjoy
in
your
Sicily.
Aperol spritz.
That's not all that's here because I live on the sea, so I got lots of
Enjoy your
seafood too.
seafood.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And my fruits and vegetables without hormones and pesticides. I'm obsessed with sweet potatoes and apples at the moment. It's amazing. But
Hi,
yeah,
Steven.
yes.
Hi.
But thank you everybody for joining us. We're gonna do this like many, many more times.
Yeah,
This
we
is
will.
just the first of many more times we're gonna do this because I think that this is a great platform for us and a forum for us to have this important conversation. Hopefully inspire you to get engaged.
I feel
Jess has
better
to go.
already. Thanksy.
Bye. Bye everybody.
Bye.
Okay. And then bye everybody.